Alright, welcome back to our podcast. I'm the gentleman, accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And in this episode, we will be continuing our more creepier, I guess, more disturbing stories of Hollywood celebrities.
Mm,
Well, old Hollywood
Hollywood,
celebrities.
yep.
This episode will be focused on Judy Garland. So, on June 10th of 1922, a child named Frances Ethel Gumm was born to two vaudeville performers in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. As one of three children, she began performing at a very early age, with her first stage performance occurring at just 2 years old alongside her sisters. The children performed as the Gumm sisters. Her home life was a bit tumultuous due to rumors of her father's homosexual tendencies.
Yeah, that would have been very
Frowned upon back
that
then.
day, yep.
So, to escape the scandal, the family fled to California. Upon the family's arrival in California, Ethel, the matriarch of the family, set out to shape her daughters into stars. Ethel was known to be a rather controlling stage mother who put her young daughter Frances on a diet of pills. Amphetamines in the morning, sleeping pills at night.
As you do.
Frances was approximately 10 years old at this point when it all started. Sadly, the pattern of pill usage would actually continue for almost her entire life.
Yeah.
It does not end well, as you can imagine.
No, it doesn't. It's very sad.
Anyways, sometime in 1934, the Gumm sisters rebranded themselves as the Garland sisters, and Frances gave herself the new first name of Judy. Judy stood out among her sisters because of her extraordinary singing ability.
Yeah, she definitely had a very beautiful singing voice.
In 1935, when she was about 13 years of age, when she was about 13 years old, she was signed by Louis B. Mayer of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the head of Hollywood's largest and most prestigious movie studio. She signed a contract that tied her to the studio for the next 7 years, making $100 a week, which would have been considered a windfall during the time.
Yeah, around the Great Depression time, definitely.
Yeah. So she was soon worlds apart from her old self. She is quoted later in life as saying, "Actors live in a queer sort of double world. Not many of us have the names or identities we were born with. I don't associate Frances Gumm with me. She's a girl I can read about the way other people do. I, Judy Garland, was born when I was 12 years old."
Fair enough.
Yeah. Her start with MGM began rather ominously. Not long after she signed her contract, her father died. After that, she was left to care for her mother, a woman who was later called the Real Wicked Witch of the West. As a part of MGM's cohort of young stars, she was quickly forced to adapt to a grueling, nearly impossible schedule. She was forever cast as the girl next door type, and she was often forced to make 2 to 3 movies at a time.
It would have been hard, yes.
Yes. 3 hours of early morning school were followed by singing rehearsal, then a day of shooting. Sometimes these marathons wouldn't finish until 5 in the morning. She was sustained by a diet of pills, and by the age of 15, she had grown dependent on them.
I imagine so.
Garland's first feature-length film was a loan out to Fox titled Pigskin Parade, a football-themed musical comedy where she was billed 10th after Stuart Erwin, Jack Haley, Patsy Kelly, Betty Grable, among others. Garland sang 3 solos, including The Texas Tornado and The Balboa. Her weight was within a healthy range, but the studio demanded that she be constantly on a diet. They even went so far as to serve her only a bowl of chicken soup and a black coffee when she ordered a regular meal. She was plagued with self-doubt throughout her life, and despite a successful film career, as well as recording awards, critical praise, and the ability to fill concert halls wherever she went, she tended to require constant reassurance that she was talented and attractive.
Right.
So in 1938, at the age of 16, she finally got her big break when she was cast as Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz. This was a film based off the 1900 children's book by L. Frank Baum, which I'm sure most people know.
Exactly.
In the film, she sang the song which she would be constantly identified afterwards, "Over the Rainbow."
Right.
She frequently used an excerpt from it as her entrance music during later concerts and even television appearances, and named it her favorite of all the songs she had ever recorded.
It's probably
So,
definitely one of her most well-known anyway.
probably, yeah. Actually, the role was originally supposed to go to Shirley Temple, which ended up having the studio try to make Frances or Judy Garland look a bit younger and as
Right.
young as possible.
Exactly.
She was initially outfitted with a blonde wig for the part, but Freed and Leroy decided against it shortly into filming. Her blue gingham dress was chosen for its blurring effect on her figure, which made her look younger. She was also forced to lose weight, because of course she was.
Mhm.
The studio would basically keep putting her on a diet of soup, black coffee, cigarettes, diet pills, and even amphetamines. Her waist was also corseted, and her nose was affixed with prosthetics.
Mhm.
So basically, a bunch of what I would imagine torture would be like. Or
Yeah,
would be torture,
would have
rather.
been bad, and she was only 16, and she wasn't very big at all.
Uh-uh. Anyways, The Wizard of Oz, as everyone probably knows, was a tremendous success. Though its high budget and estimated promotion cost of about $4 million, which, as of a couple years ago, would be equivalent to about $69 million.
Hmm.
So, yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah.
It actually didn't even really turn a profit until it was re-released in the 40s.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Right.
At the 1939 Academy Awards ceremony, Garland received her only Academy Award, an Academy Juvenile Award for her performances in 1939, including The Wizard of Oz and Babes in Arms.
Mm.
She was the fourth recipient of the award, as well as the only one of 12 actors ever to be presented with one. So,
That's
yeah,
pretty big good, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So, after The Wizard of Oz, Garland was one of the most bankable actresses in the United States.
I imagine so.
Yeah, the image of Dorothy allowed Garland throughout her career, or followed Garland throughout her career. She was quoted in 1940 as saying, "I think some of them are pretty angry with me too for not wearing braids and not dressing like Dorothy and not being 11 or 12."
Yeah, probably fair.
Probably. During her early careers at the studio, she was photographed and dressed in plain clothing or frilly juvenile gowns and costumes to match the girl next door image created for her.
Right.
She was also asked to wear removable caps on her teeth and rubberized discs to reshape her nose.
So crazy when you think about it.
It is. Garland was also harassed by some of Hollywood's most powerful men, because of course she was.
Right.
According to Gerald Clark, her biographer, she was frequently approached for sex as a teenager, and Meyer, the head of MGM, is said to have groped her in his office, placing his hand on her breast when she was singing. He also called her the little hunchback due to her height, which that's just mean.
It is. Yeah, she was very small. She's very small and for She only like 4'11" or something.
Yeah.
She was very small.
So, actually, fitting with what the bell just mentioned, her physical appearance was a big dilemma for MGM because she was only about 4'11", and her looks didn't quite match the glamorous persona that was then required for female lead performers.
Right.
This also led her to be self-conscious and anxious about her appearance. She was also said to have been assaulted in numerous ways by the actors who played the Munchkins while filming The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
It's claimed that the men made her life miserable during filming, and that they would often put their hands under her dress, thinking they could get away with it due to their small stature, despite many of them being around 40 years old.
Right. And she was like 16. It's disgusting.
Yes. Garland experienced her first serious adult relation or romance with band leader Artie Shaw. She was deeply devoted to him and was devastated when he eloped with Lana Turner in early 1940. In the early 40s, Garland began a relationship with musician David Rose, who was about 12 years older than her. He proposed to her on her 18th birthday despite being married to actress and singer Martha Raye. MGM disapproved of the relationship, so he and Garland agreed to wait a year to allow for his divorce to become final. During that time, Garland had actually had a brief affair with songwriter Johnny Mercer. After her breakup with Mercer, Garland and Rose were married on July 27th of 1941 when she was 19. She then became addicted to the many pills she was forced to take, and her health began to decline throughout her life rather drastically.
Mhm.
Her later obituary in the LA Times listed her illnesses as hepatitis, exhaustion, kidney ailments, nervous breakdowns, near fatal drug reactions, overweight, underweight, and injuries sustained in falls.
Hmm.
So, quite a lot.
Yeah.
Her drug habit also greatly impeded her career, as during the filming of The Pirate in 1947, she suffered a nervous breakdown and was admitted to a private sanatorium. She was able to complete filming, but in July of 1947, she made her first suicide attempt, making minor cuts to her wrist with a broken glass. The Pirate, which was released in May of 1948, was the first of Garland's films not to make a profit since she had starred in Wizard of Oz. The main reasons for its failure were its cost, the increasing expense of the shooting delays while Garland was ill, and the general public's unwillingness to accept her in a sophisticated film.
Fair enough.
Following her work in The Pirate, she actually co-starred for the first and only time with Fred Astaire, who replaced Gene Kelly after Kelly broke his ankle in The Easter Parade, which was Hollywood's highest-grossing musical film of 1948. Thrilled by the huge box office receipts of The Easter Parade, MGM immediately teamed Garland and Astaire in The Barclays of Broadway. During the initial filming, Garland was taking prescription barbiturate sleeping pills along with illicitly obtained pills containing morphine.
Mm.
Around this time, she also developed a serious problem with alcohol. These issues, in combination with migraine headaches, caused her to miss several shooting days in a row. After being advised by her doctor that she would be able to work only in 4 to 5 day increments, with extended rest periods between, MGM executive Arthur Freed decided to suspend her on July 18th of 1948. She was replaced in the film by Ginger Rogers. When Garland's suspension was over, she was summoned back to work. She performed 2 songs as a guest in the Rogers and Hart biopic Words and Music, which was her last appearance with Mickey Rooney.
Hmm.
Despite the all-star cast, Words and Music barely broke even at the box office. So, Garland was then later cast in the film adaptation of Annie Get Your Gun in the title role of Annie Oakley. She was nervous at the prospect of taking on a role strongly identified with Ethel Merman, anxious about appearing in an unglamorous part after breaking from juvenile parts for several years, and disturbed by her treatment at the hands of director Busby Berkeley. He was disappointed by Garland's lack of effort, attitude, and enthusiasm. She complained to Meyer, trying to have Berkeley fired from the feature. She began arriving late to the set and sometimes failed to appear at all, and at this time she was undergoing electroconvulsive therapy for depression.
Oh, goodness.
So quite a lot going on in her life.
Yeah, she had a rough life. She really kinda
She
did.
really did. She was finally fired from the picture on May 10th of 49 and was replaced by Betty Hutton, who stepped in to perform all the musical routines as staged by Robert Alton. So Garland then underwent an extensive hospital stay at Peter Bent Brigham Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, where she was weaned off her medication, and after a while she was able to eat and sleep normally. She returned to Los Angeles in the fall of 1949, having gained weight, and was cast opposite Gene Kelly in Summer Stock, which took 6 months to complete.
Mm.
To lose weight, Garland went back on pills, and a pattern of behavior resurfaced as she began showing up on the set late or not at all. She was later cast in the film Royal Wedding with Fred Astaire in 1950 after June Allison became pregnant, but because Garland failed to report to the set on multiple occasions, the studio suspended her contract on June 17th of 1950, replacing her with Jane Powell. Reputable biographies published following Garland's death stated that after this dismissal, she slightly grazed her neck with a broken glass, requiring only a bandage. However, at the time, the public was informed that a despondent Garland had slashed her throat. So she was quoted as saying about the attempts, "All I could see ahead was more confusion. I wanted to black out the future as well as the past. I wanted to hurt myself and everyone who had hurt me." In September of 1950, after 15 years with the studio, Garland and MGM parted company. In November of 1959, Garland was hospitalized after being diagnosed with acute hepatitis, and over the next few weeks, several quarts of fluid were drained from her until she was released from the hospital in January of 1960, still in weak condition. She was told by doctors that she had probably 5 years or less to live, and that even if she did survive, she would be semi-invalid and would never sing again. She initially felt greatly relieved at the diagnosis, commenting, "The pressure was off me for the first time in my life." She returned to the stage at the end of her life, though her performances had mixed reviews. At a 1964 tour of Australia, it ended rather badly. Garland's first two concerts in Sydney were held at the Sydney Stadium because no concert hall could accommodate the overflow of crowds who wanted to see her,
Mm.
which is fair.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that too. Her third performance was in Melbourne, it started an hour late, which angered the crowd of about 7,000 people. They believed she was drunk and they booed and heckled her. She fled off the stage after 45 minutes. So she later characterized the Melbourne crowd as brutish. Her appearance was covered negatively in the press.
Yeah.
On June 22nd of 1969, she was found dead in the bathroom of her rented house in Cadogan Lane in Belgravia, London. She was 47 at the time. At the inquest, coroner Gavin Thurston said that the cause of death was an incautious self-overdose of barbiturates. Her blood contained the equivalent of 10 1.5 grains seconal capsules.
Right.
Thurston stressed that the overdose had been unintentional and no evidence suggested that she had intended to kill herself, and the autopsy showed no inflammation of her stomach lining and no actual drug residue in her stomach. This indicated that the drug had likely been ingested over a long period of time rather than in a single dose.
Right.
Her death certificate stated that her death was accidental. Supporting the accidental cause, Garland's physician noted that a prescription of 25 barbiturate pills was found by her bedside half empty. Another bottle of 100 was still unopened.
Fair enough. She's trying to kill herself. She most likely took much more to
Yeah.
make sure, basically.
She was later embalmed and dressed in a gray silk gown, and on June 22nd of 1969, an estimated 20,000 people lined up to pay their respects at the Frank E. Campbell Funeral Chapel in Manhattan. It remained open all night long to accommodate the overflowing crowd.
Goodness.
The next day, her A Star is Born co-star James Mason gave a eulogy at the funeral where he stated Judy's great gift was that she could wring tears out of the hearts of rock. She gave so richly and so generously that no currency could repay her.
Yeah. She really did have a very sad, I mean, there's more things that we could say about her, but I mean, she had a very sad life. I do feel bad.
She did. It was awful what she had to
mean,
go through.
It really was. I mean, it was really sad. Now, I mean, I understand, there's some people try to defend the studio now and saying that they didn't force her to take those pills, but I would not be a bit shocked if they did. They used to do all kinds of things. They used to make them have plastic surgeries and do all kinds of stuff to make them lose weight, and not in healthy ways.
So personally, I don't believe anything they say. I'll believe the people or the stars themselves over the studio, because the studio will just cover their asses.
Exactly.
I've never seen a case where a studio will admit any wrongdoing.
Right. No, it's always somebody else's fault.
Especially if it results in the death of someone.
Oh, yeah.
They will just try so hard to deflect the blame on that.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoyed that segment. We'll continue on with some more tragic tales and disturbing tales of old Hollywood. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. And don't forget to stay disturbed.